Good afternoon to everybody and welcome to the candidate for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court uh, of Ukraine. The advisory group of experts gathered in a full composition to interview the candidate for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Mr. Savchyn Mykhailo. Mr. Savchyn is a professor of the Department of Administrative, Financial, and Information Law at the Uzhgorod National University, and he has been allowed to participate in the competition selection by the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. The interview will be moderated by the AGE Secretary, Mr. Yaroslav Romaniuk, to whom I'm passing the floor. Please, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mikhailo Vasilyevich. So, all 6 AGE members are present today for the interview with the candidates. The chairman of the AGE, Ales Zalar, will be present online, and offline here we have Ms. Hanna Sukhotska, Ms. Marina Connor, Ms. Natalia Kuznetsova, Ms. Oksana Vasilchenko. The AGE deputies also are in attendance, namely Mr. Thomas Griffith, Mr. Richard Barrett, Mr. Marek Zubik, Mr. Vasil Shakun, and Mr. Volodymyr Kuzmenko, and myself, the AGE Secretary, Yaroslav Romaniuk. Mikhailo Vasilyevich, we had enough time to accumulate information and data about you and regarding your high moral qualities for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. We express our gratitude for your answers and communication with the Secretary. Still, there are some moments that we would like to clarify. And the goal of this interview is to provide you an opportunity to clarify or debunk any doubts regarding your moral qualities. Please note that the candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the interview if the advisory group had requested this earlier and the candidate had not provided them within the time specified, or if the candidate could have provided them at his/her own initiative earlier. However, the advisory group may make an exception if it determines that such an exception is justified. I also would like to inform that the interview is being recorded and streamed live on the AGE resources as well as the website of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Therefore, I call upon the AGE members and the candidate to limit the use of sensitive data and limited access to information on live air. If there is a need to discuss such an information, we will stop streaming and this vulnerable information will be discussed here. Dear candidate, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the duration of the interview is approximately 1 hour. Please be concise and laconic in your answers. The time limit for the response to a question is 3 minutes. Our international experts do not speak Ukrainian, they are English-speaking. So please, if you need, you can use the headset with simultaneous translation into Ukrainian. Blue light means Ukrainian channel, and there is simultaneous interpretation. At the end of the interview, the candidate may make a short closing remark or statement up to 5 minutes. And now we're ready to start our interview, and I pass the floor to the rapporteurs on your case, Mr. Ales Zalar and Ms. Natalia Kuznetsova. Dear rapporteurs, please start the interview. Nice to see you, Mikhailo Vasilyevich. At the interview, I will ask you a couple of questions. At first, about your property. Under an apartment sale and purchase contract dated April 11th, 2008, you purchased an apartment with a total area of 48 square meters in the city of Uzhgorod. As you stated in your written explanation, although the sale and purchase contract states the amount of 45,000 Ukrainian hryvnias, you actually paid the seller of the apartment $45,000, which is 277,250 Ukrainian hryvnias at the NBU exchange rate on the other day. Explain why the price is different. At that period, there was a practice. Please be closer to the microphone. Well, during that period of time, it was the practice well known, and we made this sale and purchase contract because in the parallel there was a mortgage contract stated also. I'm sorry, I don't understand. So what sum have you paid? 45,000 US dollars, so equivalent to this sum. So you mean it was 277,000 hryvnias? And which taxes were paid from 45,000 hryvnias? The taxes were imported from 45,000 hryvnias. In your written explanations, you claimed that the apartment was in the state of disrepair and required urgent repair. However, according to the clause 8 of the contract of sale and purchase, the apartment, it was stated, the buyer, the candidate, states that the apartment has been inspected by him and is in a condition that is fully suitable for its intended use. Explain this situation, please. So, what was the real situation? Was the apartment in a fully suitable condition or not? Well, a couple of retired people lived there before, and when I moved in, I saw the real state of things, and it was clear that we had to repair it. But from the other point of view, when we take the rate for the property, it was quite a good deal, because in Koshitsas we could buy the apartment for 400 euro, and in our it was 60,000 euro. Yeah, but we are talking about the other thing. Was the apartment in a state of disrepair and required urgent repair or not? Or maybe there was something that you retained not suitable and you decided just to make a cosmetic repair. Well, we made a complete repair because for a young family we had to do it completely in other mode. In the electronic declaration of the Constitution for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine for 2022, you stated that on March 24, 2008, you acquired ownership of an apartment with a total area of 48 square meters in the city of Uzhgorod. However, as we have already found out, you acquired this apartment on April 11, 2008, as we see from the contract. In addition, this electronic declaration doesn't indicate the value of this apartment, while your 2018 electronic declaration indicates the value as of the date of acquisition, 225,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Please explain these inconsistencies. In the later declarations, I have already stated the corresponding price about the same apartment, because before it was negotiation process, so we started from the March to communicate with the owners of the apartment and with the real estate agency, and on the 11th of April we have done the deal. As you have confirmed in your written explanations, your ex-wife had and has the right of joint ownership together with her relatives to an apartment in Uzhgorod on Mynayska Street. Why did you not declare this property in any of your electronic declarations? Well, I knew that this was the apartment of her mother, and all the children are registered there. All these nuances I haven't asked her about it, and it was my like a kind of neglection, because it was obtained for us, this apartment, in 1978. So you say that you think, or what? I am confident in this information because the mother registered all her children there in this apartment. Okay, it is clear. According to your autobiography, you were providing legal services within the framework of the International Technical Assistance Project, improving the performance and accountability of local governments, HOVERLA, in the period from January the 1st to July the 15th, 2022. According to your written explanations, you have received payments for these services in June 2022 in the amount of 48,882 Ukrainian hryvnias. The payer was the State Enterprise General Directorate for the Support of Foreign Missions. Why does your electronic declaration for 2022 contain no information about this organization as a source of income? Well, the declaration was compiled on the 2nd of October before leaving for my internship in Slovakia, and I thought that they would have paid me in February, but they paid only in June because it was dedicated to decentralization of power, and the full-scale invasion started and there were delays. And that's why this was discrepancy in dates in documents. That's why I didn't see it, and after in electronic cabinet of the taxpayer I have seen it. Okay, so you see that you haven't seen it before. You missed this information. Yes, because I filled in the declaration in one single day to be in time to present the documents for the contest. Mr. Mykhailo, I understand that each of us and you also have personal reasons, but your attitude towards the filling in the declaration, especially for selection procedures, it's quite a serious issue. Because we want today to have interview with you to clarify some doubts. For example, if there are some reasons that there is a mistake or some missed or not incorrect data, this is one situation. But you say that you were not in time, you didn't see it, you missed this information, so this is really specific. Okay, the next question. According to your autobiography, you were provided legal services and advice in relation to a claim in the High Court of Justice in England between the March 15th and October 30th, 2016. As you explained, payment of these services in the amount of 69,689.55 Ukrainian hryvnias in 2016 was made by Asters Consult Limited Liability Company. Why is there no information about the income in your electronic declaration for 2016? Maybe it was my first compiled declaration, and I didn't know some options how to fill it in. So there are some other options. Mr. Mykhailo, I want to say you were an expert in the High Court of Justice in England, highly qualified expert in the sphere of Ukrainian law. Well, first or not first experience, if I have any issues because of lack of knowledge, I address specialists, including specialists in tax law, administrative law, as I'm specialist in civil law. Maybe I don't know the complete information. So your answer looks strange, that your attitude towards the documentation about your property, well, it's a bit easygoing, I would say. You can convince me otherwise. You are one of the members of the limited liability company Sudova Praktika. The date of registration of the company is May 4th, 2017. Why did you not declare your participation in this company in your electronic declarations for 2018, 2020, and 2022? Because in 2020, I wrote a dismissal statement. I talked with Sitotsky Alexander Dmitrovich, who is heading this LLC. So I wrote a statement. I was dismissed from this. So, well, I don't know the reason, but I wasn't dismissed. So I will find it out, because it seems that you still are a member of this LLC Sudova Praktika, and you have to declare it, because this is you are subject to declaration. Well, I have presented my statement, and I think that I was dismissed from the composition of members. Thank you. You are one of the members and leaders of the NGO Regional Agency for Scientific Research, European Law. The date of registration of this NGO is October the 8th, 2004. Why did you not declare again your participation management of this NGO in your electronic declarations? The year 2004, you continue to be the member of this NGO. Well, it stopped. It's terminated its activity in 2008. So, was it excluded from the register? No, it should be. It must be excluded. So it's not excluded, so formally you are one of the members and leaders. Okay. According to the results of a special verification of the accuracy in the information provided in your declaration for 2022, the National Agency on Corruption Prevention found out in particular the following discrepancies. According to the State Register of Individuals, the amount of income from the National School of Judges of Ukraine is 158,222 Ukrainian hryvnias, while the declaration indicates the amount 134,459 Ukrainian hryvnias. According to the State Register of Individuals, the amount of income from the State Higher Educational Institution Uzhhorod National University is 333,560 Ukrainian hryvnias, while the declaration indicates the amount of 134,459 Ukrainian hryvnias. Please explain the discrepancies. What was the basics? How you filled in your declaration? For example, you can took the statement from the accountability, from the accountant's office, and you can fill in the declaration. Have you done it in the same? No, I took these numbers from the cabinet from a taxpayer, and I didn't include the data for January. Why did you not use the classic methods that I attributed to everybody? Because these are the unique data, and national agency obtains such information, and you obtain such information, and there can be no discrepancies, because the national agency cannot come into your electronic cabinet. Okay, according to the State Register of Individual Taxpayers, in 2018, you received income royalty from the publishing house Pravo in the amount of 3,600 Ukrainian hryvnias. However, your electronic declaration for 2018 doesn't contain information about this income. What are the reasons? The sum is not significant, but it is there. Well, they paid for me, they reported, but I didn't took it into consideration. According to the State Register of Individual Taxpayers, in 2015, you received 50,160 Ukrainian hryvnias, and in 2016, 62,327 Ukrainian hryvnias of income from the National School of Judges of Ukraine. At the same time, your electronic declarations for these years do not contain information about this income. This was my first experience of filling in the declaration, and I didn't know how how to use this option to add another source of income, because this is my second employment. Okay, according to the information provided by you, in 2016, you received 129,071 hryvnias of salary from the state higher educational institution Uzhhorod National University. At the same time, your electronic declaration indicates that you received a salary for 2016 of 261,088 hryvnias from the State Higher Educational Institution Uzhhorod National University. Please explain the discrepancy. Why so? You indicate the sum 140,000 hryvnias more than you obtained. Or you omit something, or you omit. So what is the problem? You have any issues with numbers, with calculations? No, I have no. So can you explain, please? Where do you take these numbers? This is official document. You see, today we are in 2024. We are talking about a serious issue about availability of high moral qualities for the position of a judge of Constitutional Court of Ukraine, and these trifles we should be taken into account, because you have a lot of discrepancies that you cannot explain. And also, according to the information provided by you, in 2015 you received 1835 Ukrainian hryvnias, and in 2016 you received 189 hryvnias of income from the State Educational Institution Transcarpathian Regional Center for Retraining and Advanced Training of Employees of State Authorities, Local Government, State Enterprises, Institutions and Organizations. At the same time, your electronic declarations for 2015-2016 do not contain information about this income. They are absent because these are advanced training courses for civil servants. It was a fee for hour. But do you agree that this is income? What is the difference where you took this income? Yes, I just signed the agreement, and then I passed this agreement to senior management. But were you paid? Yes, I was paid on my account. But you know that you can, from the card account, you can find out all the information. Well, in this bank, Oshad Bank, there are no such options. Okay, and the next question. According to the information provided by you, in 2015, you received 4,428 Ukrainian hryvnias of income from the Universal Examination Network Additional Liability Company and 755 hryvnias from the National Center Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine. At the same time, your electronic declaration for 2016 and 2015 doesn't indicate this income, and you haven't explained it. This was the practice with the senior management, that you sign from your side your contracts, but they do not return it to you, and they don't have the initial data. But you know that you can take the copy of the agreement. You know, as being a specialist in civil law, I would explain. So, when the contract is stipulated, it is stipulated in the number of copy with a copy to each side. There is another mechanism. You can just make a scanned copy. You can just make some inscription. Well, I would explain you about this Junior Academy of Science. Well, I went to Kyiv, I signed the contract, and I returned to Uzhhorod, and I didn't obtain any signed by other side contract. This is from one side. From the other side, there was no need to make declaration in electronic form, and I didn't preserve any documents. You know, maybe it's not appropriate to talk about my private experience, but for example, I do some small works where I edit some papers, and Yes, but some monies are accrued for each expertise. Maybe it's 200, 300 hryvnias. And all this income are shown by me, even though they are so small. Thank you so much. I have no other questions, so please, Mr. Alish, the floor is yours. I would like to say that I'm not official and I didn't do it, so now there will be another situation. I will follow it.
Mr. Savchyn, I will continue with some questions because you was not able to clarify the open issues during the exchange of written questions we sent to you and your answers you provided us with. According to your autobiography, since 2012, you have been the coordinator of the summer schools on constitutional law, titled The Rule of Law and Constitutionalism, which have been held every year except for the year 2022. And these schools were co-organized by the OSCE project coordinator in Ukraine and OSCE support program for Ukraine. Have you ever received any income from coordinating these summer schools?
Thank you. Well, recently I had an income. It was initiative to share and to spread the ideas about rule of law and constitutionalism. So yes, I obtained income.
You obtained income in all this period from 2012?
Partially, yes.
Okay. And what was the average amount of fees you received for coordinating such summer school?
Well, it was different. At first it was less, and I don't have the previous data because all the data were on my old notebook, and I provided you only the latest information.
You said that you received income. Okay, you cannot remember how much you said. At least we know for the year 2023
Yes.
that you received 2,000 euros. So my question is, have you declared the fees you received from OSCE to the Ukrainian tax authorities?
No, I haven't declared.
Why not?
I thought these are from international organization.
What does this mean? Do you think that this was the tax-free work or what?
Напевно, так.
Maybe yes.
Haven't analyzed the Ukrainian legislation, which may provide grounds for not declaring such fees to the Ukrainian tax authorities. Did you check the laws?
No, I haven't checked.
Checked, you haven't reported, you haven't declared, nothing, but you receive income.
Yes. For this year, I will declare it and I will report. I will correct.
Quite a long period since you
Дякую.
worked already, and doesn't look very fair and honest what you have not done. Okay, let's continue. According to your biography, since August 26, 2020, you have been a national consultant to the Council of Europe on constitutional and parliamentary reform, as well as a national code of the Council of Europe on the European anti-corruption standards. So what services other than analyzing the Supreme Court's practice on the protection of social benefits under the auspices of the Council of Europe in the period from July 1st to September 10th, 2023, did you provide as a national consultant and coach? So what else?
Thank you. As for Council of Europe, I have provided services last year in summer, and in final report was done in September, and I will fix it in my declaration for 2023. I haven't had any other cases, but it was said it wasn't about it was anti-discrimination. I had a training in 2013-2014 about the Article 14 of the European Convention, and we held a row of events, twice in Uzhgorod and with my colleague in Ivano-Frankivsk, and all these events were funded by the Council of Europe. So we selected people who wanted to take part into these 2-day trainings. These people were located in the hotel, and they had these trainings. It was paid by the Council of Europe, but we were not paid any fee about it. We just passed this course, and after we had to hold the row of such events. And also I am involved now, so soon I will be a speaker for the 14th article of the convention this year. Thank you.
Yes, if I understood correctly, you have not received any income out of that activity.
No, as for Council of Europe, now I obtained income, and I will reflect it in the declaration, and I will pay my taxes.
We noticed that you crossed the state border several times during the martial law. Could you explain on what grounds you crossed the state border during the martial law, and for what purpose did you travel abroad?
Generally, I have two different reasons. The first reason, it was November-December 2022. I was invited to give the lectures, because I do it periodically, in Munich University. I had their lectures on Tuesday and Thursday during 3 weeks on international constitutional law. When there was invitation, I addressed the international department of the university, and they said so they will give me this opportunity to leave the country under the Schlag. Now I have the second series of these trips. I obtained a grant from SAIA's Slovakian agency, and I have my internship in Bratislava. Now there is a special mechanism. The official request can be sent through the ministry as for scientific scientific business trip. So the Ministry of Education are addressed with this request. Then the ministry provides a set of documents. I have received such documents only in the latest mail. Before it wasn't. I didn't have it. After all these documents are sent to the State Border Service, and you should also state in which place you will cross the border. This is the procedure. Thank you.
Now I have another kind of question. It's about your political activity or political ties. In 2019, you ran as a candidate for the People's Deputy of Ukraine, nominated by the Holos political party. Could you explain the reasons and purpose of this participation in this election? Did anyone advise you to run in this election? Anybody from the political circle?
It wasn't political circle. I just had communication with one of the prorectors of one of the Western Ukrainian universities, and one of the regional activists who supported Euromaidan in 2013-2014, and they suggested me to do this. So I'm not the member of a party. After these elections, I stopped my political activity. It was the only case. I just have seen how the election process takes place, and I saw how big are chances of an ordinary professor to come to the Verkhovna Rada, to the parliament, and maybe I could be really very useful. But we have what we have.
Я політичною діяльністю не
So I'm not politically affiliated into the activity.
According to your written explanation in 2017, you issued a power of attorney in the name of Ruslan Oleksievich Stefanchuk. Could you explain the circumstances of issuing this power of attorney and your relationship with Ruslan Stefanchuk?
порозумів, дякую.
Thank you. Look, we have already mentioned this is the LLC company Sudova Praktika. This was power of attorney for a month to register such a company. It was issued in May, and it was issued just for 1 month of the same year. So it was just for the registration. After Stefanchuk quit from this composition, and now I think that there are a few people among founders. So maybe this is because my statement about quitting wasn't taken into consideration. So now there are 3 founders mentioned in the register.
And at the moment, you don't have any relationship with Mr. Stefanchuk?
As for relationship, I am member of, there is a body. Well, it's really strange. It's like Scientific Consultant Council. It should have been near the Verkhovna Rada, but it's under the guidance of other councils. So there are a lot of scientists and constitutionalists in this body, but there are not a lot of participants. You can find it out on the site of Verkhovna Rada. We discussed the draft laws, and we promoted the idea of advisory group as it exists today. So this is one of the ideas that was lobbied. It was one of the ideas in the package of ideas to harmonize our legislation with the European Union. And we analyzed a lot of practices from European Court of Human Rights, etc. So I think that these were my times. I know him. Also, I met him on the scientific conferences before. Our circle of communication is quite a wide one. So even today, I know a lot of people who come to the interview, a lot of candidates. We know each other. It's quite ordinary academic life.
Yes, for sure. And how long do you serve in this advisory group of experts you mentioned?
Well, since the end of December 2020.
Okay, thank you. In September 2010, you resigned from your job at the Constitutional Court of Ukraine after working there for a little more than 2 years, including as an advisor to the President of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Mr. Andriy Strizhak. Could you explain the reasons for resigning from the Constitutional Court post?
Дякую.
Thank you. I was transferred in July 2010 from the position of advisor because the cadency of the President of the Constitutional Court terminated, and I became the deputy head of the constitutional submissions, and I started to work there as a civil servant, not under the patronate, but it was general civil service, state service. And then happened what it happened. So then the step by step, the Ukrainian state was transformed as a manipulated body, and then the High Council of Ukraine 2010 cancelled the edition of the Constitution 2008. I was in the department which provided the preliminary expertise. I was surprised by such an euphoria in the Secretariat of the Constitutional Court, and I thought that it was the way for the usurpation of the power, that this was specific person that came to a power. And I expressed my apprehension that the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, he said that there was no jurisdiction and we should indicate very essential grounding and grounds for such a cases, because there were a lot of different juridical positions in the Constitution edited in 2004 according to the law 2222, and we should provide very good reasons for very drastic change of the juridical and legal position and to cancel the Constitution in the editing 2222. That's why I wrote a conclusion and I quit. So I made a statement. I quit because I wasn't for such approach. I understood what was it the path for, and it happened as it happened, just in 3 weeks. So Ukraine became a Creole state under the guidance of Yanukovych, and now we see the results. So Putler wanted to do it in another day. We could see it even then in 2010. So I analyzed such a situation. These were my ideas, and I quit and I returned to scientific academic activity, because even then I understood, because I wanted to be till the end in the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. I tried to stand the position for the constitutional democracy, but when there was no other exit, I just quit.
Then, sometime after, in the fall of 2021, you participated in a competition to select candidates for the position of judges of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine for individuals appointed by the President of Ukraine. And as you probably remember, some civil society organizations questioned the very legitimacy of this competition, pointing to the unconstitutionality of revocation of the decrees appointing Alexander Tupitsky and Alexander Kasminin, for whose positions this competition was announced. So the illegality of these decrees was later confirmed by the Supreme Court. Could you explain the reasons why you participate in this competition?
Look, the situation is the following. We talk about the power. Now we see very interesting situation in the Constitutional Court. There is quorum, 12 judges, 10 can take a decision. judges were fired in a very doubtful way. I agree, but the case was that these judges were dismissed whose cadency was to terminate just in 6 months. So even from the very beginning, I wrote in Facebook that we should understand the situation in a very elementary way. There will be newly appointed judges, but we should understand what is the difference between newly appointed judges and judges who took oath. I said that the Constitutional Court wouldn't send these judges, these newly appointed judges, to oath until these ex-judges wouldn't have terminated their cadency. And we saw that this was a contest that corresponded to requisites. Now with the AG, it is the better selection procedure, more in detail studied. But if we talk about that selection procedure, if we take the previous experience, there were the first steps for the selection procedure. There were discussions, there were questions posed. So from this point of view, I didn't think that there would have been a problem, because from legal point of view, I saw that it was the development of the situation, and it was. So the decision of the Supreme Court was, it was after we were recommended for this selection procedure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have a last question. Now you run for the position of the judge of the Constitutional Court again. But you are at the same time participating also in the competition for the position of judge of the Administrative Court of Appeal. So how do you see these two processes and to these different courts, and what is your priority? Could we consider your candidacy as a serious enough, since you are at the same time applying for another position with another court with different jurisdiction than the Constitutional Court? Please, if you can explain this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's very elementary explanation. This competition for the appellate courts, it was announced later. And for me, like for the specialist in constitutional law, the priority is this one. There are a lot of my colleagues who said that submit your candidacy even for this another contest. But for me, Constitutional Court is my priority, because I have background in Constitutional Court, and I take part in different programs that regard also implementation of constitutional complaints. So I'm involved there. I work in OSCE and also on the line of the Council of Europe. I work on defense of human rights, and my specialty is also constitutional law, so I have relevant competence, and I'm resistant to different impacts about the character of decisions taking, because I understand under which conditions we are here, so our state is, and I will stand for the values of the constitutional democracy. So this is my priority.
Я готовий вже до роботи.
I'm ready to start working already.
Якщо пан Алеш закінчив, я ще...
So, Mr. Alish, if you have finished, I will ask another question. Dear Mykhailo Vasilovich, now our interview regards clarification the correspondence to the high moral character of the candidates, their integrity level, and it doesn't talk about professional competence. So, without any doubt, we study only integrity issues here. And here I have the last question to you. For me and for members of the advisory group of experts, is quite a sensitive one. In 2019, you participated in the competition for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, According to your comment to the post of the press service of the Council of Judges of Ukraine on August 15, 2019, on the social network Facebook, following your interview, which took place on the same day, you stated the following. I will quote, "A monograph will soon be published, and they don't even bat an eyelid. What are your achievements? The titles of theses were given incorrectly. By that, Neduidavy. I'm sorry, I don't specialist in dialectism. I am representative of Central Ukraine, so I can't understand it. So that chair, I had to correct them so that that is a disgrace and disrespect that characterizes him accordingly. And according to dictionaries of the Transcarpathian dialects, this dialect Neduidavy means incapable, inept, unfit. How can you explain that? So there is definition of the situation. If we take this context, I think that the chair of that meeting should have studied the title of the dissertation, and this was my reaction. Neduidavy, it means that he wasn't very in detail studying the dossier. Now I see another situation. Now you really, I express my respect to you because you study it very in detail. I won't have any comments, negative comments on it, as I see from this interview. But in that point, it was my comment, and we can take into consideration the context. If we talk about the Congress of Judges, we decided that the judges were recommended, and from the candidates, one lawyer, and then one lawyer was recommended and one representative of academic community. So there were a couple of us, but there was only one recommendation, you see? And there was a question whether this institution could provide the evaluative characteristics. So it was criticism, and if you permit me, I have another question. So, at first, thank you for your evaluation of our contribution, and I hope that there will not be, so I do hope that there will not be such comments in our regards. But we are talking about high moral character. You are a professor. You are an intelligent gentleman. I read your posts in Facebook with interest. In your opinion, is it correct and permissible for a candidate to make a statement about the members of the selection commission on the day of the interview with him, if such a statement may have a clearly negative connotation? I'm sorry, it's not in private conversation with friends. It's not like in some acquaintances or in bar. This is public social media, and such person that is a member of the selection commission also has the right to be respected. So you believe that your post provided respect to the function that that member of selection commission made? No, it's more like criticism, and some framework were violated. So maybe it's because maybe it's about dialect. Okay, if you have changed it, if you changed it to an ordinary, what it would be? Well, it was about the fact that he didn't know the title of the dissertation. Well, you understand? Yeah, but we are talking about interview with you for your professional qualities, including high moral values, and you permit yourself to evaluate a person in such a negative mode. You see that in our constitution and in civil code, the respect towards a person is one of the fundamental values, and as for the fact who is entitled to be respected, this is the fundamental right. How is it possible to be a person who wants to defend the constitution and human rights and to permit for himself or herself such things? It was just a criticism, you know. There is the case law. Yeah, it was very emotional way. You see, so my age permits me to say that maybe there is a background to say that this is respectful attitude and this is disrespectful, this is criticism, and this is already what I would say on the level of information that just does harm and defends the dignity of a person. I just presented the facts, but in which way the professor, the doctor of juridical law, after having not obtained the expected evaluation in the selection, permits himself to provide such a criticism. So if you said something about the procedure, it would have been a criticism. Maybe our attitude is doesn't just coincide. There was a series of posts, so I expressed my thoughts about then legislation. Now it changed, that at that period the criteria shouldn't have been evaluated. So thank you so much, but we are talking about different things. We are talking about the form, not about the contents. I'm talking about criticism. Criticism can be emotional. It's about respect. Constitution respects each citizen, each human, and a judge who assumes responsibility to serve to this constitution has and must respect human. But there I was a candidate, I wasn't selected. Okay, Mykhailo Vasilovich, there is a question. Miss Maureen O'Connor, please.
Thank you. I'm going to follow up on the line that my colleague started here with regard to your comment on Facebook where you criticized a member of the selection committee. You were there as a professional, were you not? Yes?
Then
I agree.
Maybe I better put my... Yes, okay, yes. I'm on. Okay, you were there as a professional. And would you agree that one of the probably 5 most important traits of a judge is the proper temperament to do the job?
ну, суддя має бути
Well, a judge, yes, should have a proper temperament in such situations.
And what would the proper temperament of a member of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine be in the situation that you were describing? What temperament should you have displayed?
Ну, я просто
Well, I just stressed out that some documents were not very thoroughly prepared. Only this one. So it was...
Excuse me. I'm going to give you one more chance to tell us that you regret what you did, and in hindsight, you wouldn't ever do something like that again. That's all I want to hear from you.
та я розумію, що
Well, I understand that it is not acceptable. And I will take into consideration these situations, and I won't do like this anymore. Thank you.
Абсолютно також влаштовує
Yes. Also, I understand that you have said it. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions for the candidate? If there are no questions, please, Mykhailo Vasilovich, your closing remark. 5 minutes. Thank you. I would like to present a book for the advisory group of experts, and I would like to express my gratitude for your work for enhancement of the constitutional capability of Ukraine, because the ongoing implementation and functionability of power institutions is really very important, not only in the context of threats for Ukraine, but also for the world rule of law. And we should address the issues here. If we don't do it here, it will grow as a pandemic. That's why you do a very important activity. That's why I'm really grateful that this unified procedure has been implemented, and you will select people for Constitutional Court, because there are some reproaches and some complaints about its functionability now. And I stressed a lot that Constitutional Court of Ukraine should pay its attention to the defense of political and constitutional laws, because they are more focused on social rights, and they are the rights of officials, and they should pay attention to private laws. This is the main function. The Constitutional Court should address the Article 55 of the Constitution about constitutional complaints, about the structure. The balance of power should be studied and implemented in depth, because this is the fundamentals of democracy, and the power should be distributed and split, not to give possibility for usurpation of power. So these things should be protected and should be defended. And in the context of European integration, the Constitutional Court should provide the access to this process. There is a discussion how the process of Euro integration will take place. But even if we talk about the election rights, we see that we will have to amend constitution. But as we are under martial law, different issues can arise about the way how to correct it. I am really confident in the fact that you will perform your functions with dignity. Thank you so much for your work, for staff that helps and provides the work of the advisory group of experts. And the next stages, they are really very important to have the qualitative composition of the Constitutional Court. I don't know what are my results. You will evaluate me. I have not an easy life to obtain such a career ladders, but it will be as it will be. So take care, and that's it. Thank you so much. The interview with a candidate for the position of a judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine, Savchyn Mykhailo,